Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast and another deep dive into the technology shaping the future of work. Today, we are cracking the code on workforce analytics tools. And, this isn't just about running reports.
Yeah, at all.
It's about transforming that often chaotic pile of HR data into measurable strategic business decisions. It's really the difference between guessing about your people strategy and genuinely knowing your operational reality.
Exactly. I think the core structural challenge for, modern management teams in HR is integration.
Right.
You have these critical, complex questions. Why is turnover spiking among our high performers? Are our remote teams truly efficient?
That's a huge one right now.
It is. And to answer those questions scientifically, you have to synthesize all these disparate data streams from your core system. So your HRIS.
Your human resources information system.
Right. And your payroll, recruitment platforms, performance management tools. Our mission today is to really show you how the strategic integration of these sources creates one single, actionable, trusted view of the workforce.
And the urgency for this has just never been higher, especially given the global labor market.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we're all dealing with tight labor competition, the constant pressure of managing hybrid workforces, and frankly, widening skills gaps in every major industry that directly impact the bottom line. Management teams just have to respond faster.
And the strategic payoff, well, once you connect these systems, it's pretty immediate. You dramatically cut overhead costs from all that manual reporting.
All those spreadsheets.
You eliminate the spreadsheets that are just so prone to error, and you align workforce data directly to margin and key business outcomes like, successful hiring or optimized project resources.
So our mission in this deep dive is to extract those strategic nuggets from the source material to help you cut through the noise. We are prioritizing the non-negotiables. Clear, fast dashboards, truly robust integrations, automated alerts that flag problems before they become crises, and, critically, rock-solid privacy protocols.
That's the list.
Let's start by unpacking this complex software landscape.
Okay, so to succeed, you just cannot adopt a one-size-fits-all approach. You really have to match the analytic solution stack to your organization's existing data maturity and its goals.
That makes sense. I think most listeners probably start thinking of one major vendor, but you're saying it's often a blend.
It's almost always a blend. Our sources outline 4 core categories of solutions, and each one serves a really distinct strategic role.
Okay, walk us through those 4. What strategic role does each one play?
Let's start at the most granular level. First, you have what are called monitoring platforms.
Okay.
These are systems like TerraMind or ActiveTrack. Their focus is purely operational visibility. They capture active versus idle activity. They flag workflow bottlenecks.
But the day-to-day stuff.
The very day-to-day.
Yeah.
And crucially, they can spot indicators of insider risk through behavioral analysis. They're all about those on-the-ground operational signals.
There's the deepest layer of data collection. It's useful, but it also sounds, potentially controversial if not handled correctly.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely cover the governance of that data in a bit.
Okay.
So moving up the stack, the second category is BI and visualization platforms. This is the world of Tableau and Microsoft Power BI.
Familiar names.
Right. These are flexible general-purpose tools. They're designed for fast data prep, allowing analysts to build highly flexible, ad hoc dashboards and broad reporting that connects data from many different systems.
So those are the tools that take all that messy data and turn it into the glossy charts you put in a board meeting.
Precisely. They are the visual layer. Now, the third category gets more specialized. People analytics platforms.
Oh.
Think vendors like Visier. Unlike general BI, these platforms are purpose-built for HR. They offer pre-built, standardized HR metrics, robust benchmarking against industry peers, and powerful predictive turnover models right out of the box.
That speeds things up.
It massively speeds up time to value for people leaders.
That's where you start getting into the why. But if I already have Power BI, why would I need a specialized platform like Visier? What's the difference in strategic value?
It's really about complexity and speed. With a specialized platform, you don't have to code the complex logic needed to calculate, say, voluntary turnover adjusted for tenure and department.
It's already built in.
It's already built in. You're essentially buying speed and best practice metrics that a typical BI team might take months to replicate and then validate.
Got it. And the fourth category.
Finally, we have the strategic players. Planning platforms like Anaplan or IBM Planning Analytics.
Okay, future-facing.
Exactly. This is for the future-facing work. They enable massive scenario modeling. If we hire 20 engineers and 5 salespeople, what does that do to our labor cost and margin? They manage KPI scorecards and facilitate connected planning, tying your headcount and labor costs directly to the overall financial forecast.
That segmentation really helps illustrate the maturity curve that organizations follow.
It does.
You start with the monitoring platforms giving you the descriptive dashboard, so what happened? Then you move up to diagnostic drill downs.
Why it happened.
Right, why did it happen? Then you hit predictive risk flags,
Right.
what might happen next? And finally, you get to prescriptive models with the planning platforms.
What should we do about it?
Exactly.
And that progression is critical for building enduring trust in the data. But, none of it works unless you master the data plumbing.
The connections.
Connections. We're talking about connecting HRIS, payroll, performance systems, time and attendance, all those activity logs, successfully harmonizing this data multiple, all those separate feeds. That is the foundational challenge.
You mentioned harmonizing the data multiple. What is the single biggest challenge there? Is it a technical one or is it more human?
It's both, but it usually starts with a technical misalignment that, it reveals a human process failure.
For example?
For example, ensuring that a software engineer 3 in your HRIS matches the lead developer title in the payroll system, or that compensation data is consistently mapped across all departments. If that data isn't standardized, if job codes, dates, locations don't align, the analytics are just garbage.
You instantly lose executive trust.
Instantly.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for me. Choosing the right tool. The sources suggest we shouldn't start by just looking at a vendor's feature list.
Absolutely not. Feature lists are distracting. You need to start by mapping the critical business decisions you face, say, reducing time to fill or improving retention in a specific region to the specific reports and data required to enable those decisions. That decision-first approach drives your key capabilities checklist.
So what's on that strategic checklist? What are the non-negotiables for a big enterprise-level implementation?
Integrations are number one, hands down. You must demand robust, pre-built connectors to all major HRIS, payroll, ticketing, and project systems. If those data flows aren't clean and automated, your outputs are worthless.
Okay, number one is integrations. What's two?
Second, dashboards and reporting. They have to offer highly customizable views, support automated schedule exports, and provide API access. A crucial test here is what I call the speed test.
Okay, what's that?
How long does it take to filter your entire company's headcount or attrition by a specific regional variable and see a trustworthy result?
That speed test is so vital for executive trust. I mean, waiting even 5 seconds for a query to run at a high-stakes meeting is 5 seconds too long. It just erodes confidence in the whole system.
Precisely. And third is scalability. This is so often overlooked in early pilots. You need a platform architecture that can support more users, ingest larger and larger data sets, think years of historical data, and still maintain sub-second query times as you expand.
Looking ahead then, what trends are shaping 2025 in this space? What should we be planning for?
We're seeing a significant push toward operationalizing machine learning risk models, specifically for attrition. These models combine traditional metrics like compensation and tenure with operational data to flag specific employees at risk.
That's powerful. What else?
Also expanded smarter visibility for remote and hybrid work, moving beyond just login times to measuring meaningful outcomes. And finally, the increased use of vendor accelerators. These are pre-built models and templates that drastically shorten the time to value.
That integration piece is critical, but if we're combining all this data activity logs, performance reviews, sensitive payroll data, that brings us to the elephant in the room.
Privacy and governance.
Exactly. When you're dealing with employee PII, personally identifiable information, the stakes are incredibly high, both legally and ethically.
They are, and the sources make it crystal clear. A robust security posture is a combination of policy, technology, and transparent communication. This is not just an IT problem.
It's a governance and trust problem that lands on HR and legal.
That's right.
So from a tech perspective, what specific features are required to protect sensitive employee data once it's all in one platform?
Okay, you must demand strict role-based access and entitlements, so only authorized roles can see certain data. You need field-level redaction for things like monitoring screenshots, which removes identifiers automatically.
Okay.
You need smart rules and behavioral detection to flag insider risks without creating tons of noise. And critically, for incident management, they need to integrate seamlessly with incident response systems.
Okay, you mentioned CER or CEF feeds. Wait, can you elaborate on that for the non-security specialist listener? What does that integration actually do?
Sure. Essentially, these are automated pathways. So if the workforce analytics platform flags unusual behavior, say a user accessing an abnormally high number of sensitive documents, the SR integration automatically triggers predefined steps.
Like what?
It might instantly suspend access, alert the security team, and open a case file. It turns a potential breach warning into an immediate, auditable, and automated incident response. It's crucial when dealing with time-sensitive insider risk.
That moves way beyond simple data security and into active threat management. But how do organizations balance that necessary monitoring with employee privacy and trust? That's a political challenge, not just a technical one.
It is entirely about policy and communication. Organizations must write clear, accessible policies explaining that monitoring is there to support coaching and operational improvement. It is explicitly not for mass surveillance.
So you have to be transparent.
Totally transparent. And you have to run regular access reviews, audit the logs, and conduct bias checks on the predictive models themselves. That is absolutely required.
Okay, that moves the conversation from features to practical application and, ROI. Let's shift to the why it matters section. We're looking for those high-impact use cases that can be deployed quickly, maybe in short sprints, to link this data to immediate business outcomes.
This is where we show the true return on investment. We've synthesized 3 high-impact use cases that deliver fast value.
Great. The first one is boosting productivity and performance. How do you go beyond just measuring time and actually move toward efficiency?
You start by launching trend analysis using those operational activity signals and departmental benchmarks. A tool like TerraMind can flag specific workflow bottlenecks. ActiveTrack, for instance, can surface burnout signals.
How does it do that?
Based on patterns like consistently working late nights or spikes in weekend activity. And the action is immediate. You set automated alerts for sudden drops in team productivity or spikes in overtime. This lets managers proactively guide coaching or adjust workloads before burnout happens.
That's a measurable improvement right there. You stop managing by anecdote and start managing by data. Okay, use case 2 is maybe the most strategic, predicting and reducing turnover.
For this, you launch a pilot attrition model leveraging machine learning on historical data. Vendors like Visier or SAP SuccessFactors are great here. They take all this disparate data tenure, performance, comp history, system usage, and calculate a proactive risk score.
But the score itself doesn't do anything.
Exactly. The action is the most important part. You must tie each flagged high-risk employee into a specific retention playbook so managers can immediately intervene based on the signals, whether it's a compensation review or a mentorship assignment.
Can you put a dollar sign on that?
Mm.
Why should a listener care about reducing attrition by, say, just 5%?
For a large enterprise, the cost is just staggering. If you have a 1,000-person company and you reduce voluntary turnover by just 5%, assuming a replacement cost of, let's say, $25,000 per employee.
Which is conservative for many roles.
Very conservative. You are immediately saving over $1.2 million a year in recruiting fees, training time, and lost productivity. These models pay for themselves almost instantly if they drive targeted action.
That's a powerful ROI story. And the third use case moves us into the highest level of strategy. Strategic workforce planning.
Right. This requires using those specialized planning platforms. You build quarterly planning scenarios focused on critical variables, future headcount, required skills, projected labor costs. Platforms like Anaplan or IBM Planning Analytics help align those talent plans with sales targets and ops forecasts.
And the action there.
The action is presenting targeted, aligned dashboards that track key metrics, productivity, utilization, compensation trends, to ensure all your planning is grounded in real labor costs and proven performance, not just wishful thinking.
This all sounds magnificent in theory, but, implementation is usually where these big tech projects stall out.
It is.
What is the critical first step for any organization starting this journey?
The first most critical step is data readiness. Before you even spin up the tool, you have to clean, map, and standardize your source records.
What does that actually mean?
Aligning job codes, departments, and dates between your HRIS, payroll, and performance systems. You have to decide what active employee means and make sure that definition is identical everywhere. If you harmonize that data multiple first, you build instant credibility. If the data is messy, everything else fails.
The project just collapses.
It collapses under the weight of skepticism.
And once the data is clean, then comes the change management. How do you get stakeholder buy-in? especially from departments that might be skeptical, like legal or finance.
You have to run a focused, measurable 60 to 90-day pilot on just those 2 or 3 high-impact use cases we talked about.
So start small.
Start small. Don't try to boil the ocean. You document the success metrics clearly. For example, we reduced average time on manual reporting by 40 hours a week. This validates the data, refines your models, and crucially, it forces leaders across HR, IT, legal, and finance to see the value with objective evidence before you try a big rollout.
And you need them to sign off on their parts?
Yes, you need finance to agree that your labor cost metric is correct, and legal to sign off on the privacy controls.
And then you have to be committed to the long game. You iterate.
Absolutely. You iterate, iterate, iterate. Start by automating weekly scorecards and monthly metric packs. Get those baseline metrics into the hands of managers. Once that reporting is stable and trusted, then you can gradually expand, moving to the deeper predictive planning tools. That consistency is how small wins compound into massive outcomes over time.
Okay, let's pull all this together for the listener. What is the ultimate strategic goal here?
The goal is simple, really, to move from a sprawling pile of raw people signals to clear, consensus-driven action that measurably improves hiring, retention, productivity, and strategic alignment.
One single source of truth.
One single, trusted, aggregated view that aligns every leader around the same numbers. So the debates about report accuracy just fade away, and high-stakes decisions happen faster.
Fantastic. So what is the single most practical takeaway for the professional listening right now?
Start simple, learn fast, and scale what works. And the pro tip here is to proactively combat analyst bottlenecks that can kill adoption.
How do you do that?
Schedule regular, accessible office hours and quick, targeted training paths. That way, managers and end users feel empowered to adopt and customize new dashboards themselves, rather than relying on a central analyst for every single data query.
That frees up the data scientists for the deeper predictive work, which is where the real value lies.
Exactly.
And here is a final provocative thought for you. Commit to continuous improvement. Make quarterly reviews the steady rhythm where data steers strategy before small organizational issues, like a skills mismatch or regional attrition, become systemic, paralyzing problems. Focus on those compounding wins.
Because small gains stack over time.
They stack over time, and ultimately they speed and improve the entire organization's hiring and business outcomes.
That's a great note to end on. It highlights the necessity of turning data into habitual action.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast. We hope this deep dive into workforce analytics tools provides the insights you need to drive better business outcomes and build a more predictable workforce.
And if you want a dive even deeper into vendor comparisons, specific feature checklists, and the detailed breakdown of those 4 categories, we really encourage you to read the full source article.
The link is available right now in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your deep dives so you don't miss our next analysis.